everyone, and welcome to Exploiting the Explicit, episode 13. And I'm your host, Abigail Hathaway,
I'm your co-host, Corey Diamond.
and here we're going to learn from life and grow with each other by exploiting the obvious in life.
Yes.
If you have not subscribed, please do so below by clicking that subscribe button. We're excited. We're gaining more followers with every episode, and we appreciate you all for watching and listening, tuning in to our thoughts, and adding to the consciousness that we all share.
Yes. In the conversation, dropping your wisdom into our well so it can be dispersed.
We just don't want poison to be dropped
No
because one
poison.
one drop of poison can destroy the whole village.
Yep. No, we
Mm-hmm.
need the village to drink.
Yeah.
13th episode. That's I think it's Taylor Swift's lucky number.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's connotation behind the number 13 being negative,
Yeah, I
like
know.
Friday the 13th.
I know.
But why is that? Have you ever looked into that?
Mhm.
Here's some more conspiracy theories. Maybe
Yeah.
13's a good number.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a bad Friday the 13th.
Right?
So yeah, what's on your mind today, Abigail?
Well, speaking of changing perspectives on 13,
Mm-hmm.
today's topic is of change, internally and externally, and how do we know when it's time to change?
Hmm.
And what guides us in that change, and how do we know that our decisions are designing the destiny that we desire?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. It's a very insightful pondering to have, and um, kind of reminds me of the philosophy of impermanence. I don't know if you're familiar with that theory.
Enlighten me.
Well, it's technically like a philosophy of enlightenment, but essentially, it's the concept that the only thing that is consistent is change, and that
Yeah.
what helps us not to become tied to the present moment or the past is recognizing that change is the only constant, and so it's impermanent. So it's a
Yes.
mindfulness. It's a mindfulness uh, concept that keeps you from getting tied to any person, place, thing. I mean,
Mhm.
even in relationships, I
Mhm.
think sometimes what causes a relationship to be drama or feel like forced is because people hold on to it as this has to last forever just
Yeah.
because it's happening in the moment. And
Mm.
when you approach it from the place of impermanence, you recognize that, hey, change is natural and you can
Right.
always no person belongs to each other, no situation. We all belong to God, and that's the only
Yeah.
constant. But other than that,
Right. Right.
like we shouldn't like try to fight for things to stay the same because change is a
Yeah.
natural
Mhm.
um constant in
Yeah, and then
life.
I see it too when you fight for that change, that's imposing fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're imposing fear upon something not changing, and therefore then it changes
Mm-hmm.
too. So it's like what came first before, the chicken or the egg,
Mm-hmm.
right? So is change inevitable and the only constant in life because we have our desires put out there, which we then gain when we are in alignment, but also when we fear, we impart a change as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if there was no thought and no movement of frequency at all? Like, in the sense, like, if we weren't the antennas and the receivers, what would change? What
Mm-hmm.
would we see change? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
getting
no, that's
deep in this idea
no, I
now.
mean that's a philosophical pondering and it makes you question just reality in general, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about the scientific theory of reality and that there's this big bang and everything is kind of like evolving out from that, that's one way of looking at it. Then we have the biblical principle of God created everything from scratch regardless of what people subscribe to. The one thing that is consistent between both theories is that change has been continuing to happen since however creatures and mankind got here. And
Mhm.
so we don't know the exact like what everything transpired to cause things to start moving in this direction of life and growth and death and rebirth, things of that. But
Mhm.
we do know that we can, with a certain degree of confidence, trace history back a certain degree of years to
Mhm.
know that there were people here before us
Right.
and that there are civilizations before us. And so, being that those were here, we can speculate that we will be a past civilization at some point, and there will be some civilization looking back at our civilization and saying, "Huh, this is interesting. What? Look at how they use laptops and computers and microphones to like talk
Mhm.
on
Or the flip phone
shows."
back
Or
in the day.
yeah,
Fax machine. What is that?
yeah. It's like we're all just constantly changing, constantly adapting to life, and I think that yeah, it's a part of reality that um, if we aren't conscious of it, then we get lost in the tide
Mhm.
because change is going to happen regardless of whether we want it to or not.
Yeah.
But our choice is: are we going to ride the wave, so to speak, and
Mhm.
like get on the surfboard and like ride the wave of change, or are we going to let the waves of change take us over and
Exactly.
drown us
Mhm.
underneath?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, because I see that decisions design our destiny. And so we have that choice. That's where free will comes into play,
Hmm.
where we can decide if we're going to be swallowed up and engulfed by the storm, by the wave, or
Hmm.
find a way to literally balance and create a harmony and become one with the
There
wave,
you
one
go.
with the storm in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you can like find that balance, life
Mhm.
becomes so much more exciting. Just like surfing,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I've never surfed, but it looks like a blast. And if I could swim, I would totally be down for it. But from what I can see from people that surf,
Mhm.
it looks like just such a like flow state of just
Yeah.
being one with the wave and
Yeah.
just like riding it. And it's
Mhm.
like, oh wow, this wave would normally like suck to be taken over by, but
Oh yeah.
I'm just like riding on this thing, right? It's like
Right.
riding a bull or like,
Yeah. And
some
then the next layer of that as well, it's like if you don't become one with the wave and you don't decide to be in that storm and like be one with it, then it can engulf and
yeah,
destroy you.
exactly.
Yeah, just as change does. As
Yes.
mhm. Mhm.
Change destroys so
If you
many
don't
people.
choose to
Yeah.
be with it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it's like ignoring the wave while you're out on the water won't make the wave go away.
No.
And
It'll make you go away maybe.
and if
Depending
it
how big the wave is.
yeah, right. If it
Yeah.
comes, do you blame the wave for
Yeah.
coming
You
and hitting
can't.
you, or is just like it's just a natural thing that is transpiring in nature,
Right.
and you happen to
Mhm.
be in the way? And
Yeah.
so either you learn how to become one with it,
Yeah.
or you just get overtaken by it. And
Yeah.
that is how I look at change. Like I think that's
Mhm.
what has helped me um even in terms of like anxiety about the future, because I realize anxiety is something that um a lot of people are dealing with nowadays for good reason, because
Yeah.
there's so many like things that people focus on can cause them to lose their peace about
Mhm.
and worry about and stress about. And at the root of it all is a fear of change.
Mhm.
That's what I think anxiety is. It's a fear that changes will happen outside of your control.
Mhm.
And I think that that is kind of like something that I think people are programmed to subscribe to, is that
Mhm.
changes are happening outside of our control. Because in reality, we have control over how we respond to the change,
Right.
but we don't necessarily have control over what changes will happen.
Right.
So that's where the agency and the autonomy comes from. It's
Mhm.
like we can't control what's going to happen next in life,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what adds excitement to the
Mhm.
journey,
Yeah.
not knowing everything. Because if
Right.
we knew everything that would happen, life would just be kind of like
Depressive.
blah,
Yeah. It would
right?
be. It would be. I have this theory of like the spectrum of depression. If you have absolutely no control over your life, you're depressed. But if you
Exactly.
have absolute full control over your life, it's like these two extremes then connect, create a whole, and then you also have depression.
Yeah.
Because it's like if I could just speak everything into existence the second that I wanted it, where's the fun? Where's the surprise? Where's that joy and like, wow, like I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Like I wanted ice cream and the ice cream truck just appears, or you didn't know one was gonna come. But if I could be like, oh, I want ice cream, and then instantly ice cream just falls like
Yeah.
in front of me.
Yeah.
Where's the fun in that?
Right.
It becomes, I don't
And I
know.
realized that's something that it seems like wealthy, extremely wealthy people battle with,
Mhm.
is that feeling of like having everything they desire just kind of dropped in front of them. And I know I was watching, or I heard of a podcast with Will Smith
Mhm.
recently where he talked about like this theory of like cliff top or something. It's like the opposite of rock bottom is
Mhm.
cliff top, and it's when you have essentially explored everything there is to offer in this world, and then you realize there's nothing left, and
Yeah.
it can send you into a spiral of
Right.
depression, right?
It's astronaut syndrome. Like
Yeah,
those
it's like
that like
that. Yeah,
strive
yeah,
get to the space and they're like, then what? Nothing will ever top
yeah.
doing what I just did.
Right.
But side note, speaking of Will Smith, Corey Diamond has a single out mixed with Will Smith's new song, Pretty Girls. You'd
Hey.
want to check it out, and we will put the link in the description below.
Oh yeah, that's a fun song. I made it kind of like with the um idea of eh, like respecting beauty inside of women,
Mhm.
and God created beauty. He's not
Mhm.
against beauty. I mean, he talks about beauty in the Bible and women being beautiful. So I think that every woman has her own beauty inside of her, but
Mhm.
acknowledging it is also important. And
Mhm.
that's why I've always been into like fashion, things of that nature. I've always, even when I was little, my parents would watch like America's Next Top Model and Tyra
Mhm.
Banks and all them, and I just like admiring the beauty
Mhm.
outside of it being anything creepy or weird. It's just like
Mhm.
wow. So yeah, that's I even did a little modeling in college too, because
Oh,
I'm like I
fun.
want to be part of this like
Mhm.
experience. So
Mhm.
yeah, I could go down a tangent on that, but
Well, learning
check it
new
out,
things
Pretty Girls.
about Corey Diamond, poster child.
Check it out. It's a banger, summer banger.
Yes. Let us know. Share it with your networks and give us your comments on.
Share it to Will Smith so he can give us some clout. But yeah,
Well, back on the topic of
back on the
change.
topic of change. Yeah,
Well,
what
we
do you
have
got?
changed our set too.
Oh,
If you haven't
yes.
noticed.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yes.
Give us some comments below. What do you think about the change? I kind of like it. It feels like an upgrade of kind of like how we used to have the books. I don't know if you remember some of our earlier episode where we had the books in the background, and then we like had the painting, and this is kind of like a blend of both, where you got like the painting in the center, mirror in the center, and then the books on the side.
Yes. The
So
books of knowledge that we want to absorb
yes,
in order to exploit here on Exploiting the Explicit.
yes, there's so much to be learned in
Hmm.
books
Yes.
and
And
knowledge.
that too is a decision for change because every time you read a book, you end up seeing something different in yourself. You might read a book and then wait a few years, read it again, and you're like, wow, I don't remember this.
And
Well,
you
you
think,
weren't ready.
hmm yeah, you
Hmm.
think you saw something different in a book, but you actually saw something different in yourself,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Hmm.
by Proctor.
Exactly. And also, another quote that I've heard in the past that has just always resonated: a man that can't read is no different than a man that doesn't read. So
Mm,
if you're out there not reading,
wow, I like that.
then you're just at the same level of someone that can't.
Yeah,
And, I know it takes time, but what you can even gain just by a page
yeah,
of a book can change you.
yeah. I think that's definitely a direction that is relevant to what the topic is today,
Mhm.
because if you want to learn how to effectively navigate the waves of life, the
Mhm.
change of life, books are one of the best training grounds to prepare for change. Because the thing is, we're all experiencing life differently. but the things that we experience can add a benefit to other people, right? And so when
Yeah.
someone sits down and like writes a book, especially if it's nonfiction, then they're passing along some wisdom to you, some experience to you, so you don't have to make the same mistakes they made, and you can be ready for the changes that life provides.
Mhm.
Or if you want to know how to get where somebody else got, you read a book to find out, like, hey, I want to get there. I want to be Warren Buffett. I want to be Bill Gates. I want to. They will, if you read their books, they'll tell you how to get where they got. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's like books are the gateway to the life that you want to live. And
Mhm.
if you want to be in control of your life and
Mhm.
experience the changes that you want to see, then books help you get there.
Mhm.
Whereas if you don't read, then you basically are at the mercy of the waves, you know?
Right. Yes. And becoming one with the wave is where we want to decide to be.
Hmm.
And then it's interesting how books can also represent like a conversation with that individual. So we're able
Mm.
to now still keep those who have passed alive and they're still communicating with us in that way. So,
Hmm.
like for example, Napoleon Hill, like we are now at the table with him, being able to communicate with him, even though he's no longer here, by reading his book, Think and
Yeah,
Grow Rich.
yeah,
And same concept with all the other authors that have just written down their words of wisdom to share.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If a lot, some people have different like perspectives on Napoleon Hill, but personally, I think that his stuff is so inspiring, and it's just like, yeah, I would say I'm probably a little bit of a mini Napoleon Hill fanboy because of his story. I mean, just
Yeah.
for y'all who haven't heard of Napoleon Hill, I'm gonna give you like a couple minute, maybe not even a couple minutes, just 1 minute
Okay.
overview of who he is, and then we can get back to the change episode. But
Okay.
Napoleon Hill, he was a guy who met Andrew Carnegie when he was young, and Andrew Carnegie challenged him to go around and interview hundreds of millionaires and billionaires to see if he could extract some kind of wisdom from them. And he spent at least, I'm pretty sure, 30 years interviewing these people with no pay before he wrote Think and Grow Rich.
Mhm.
And it's like so many people in this life, you don't want to work for a day without pay. So someone that can work 30 years without pay to get this like wisdom out to the world is just like he had to have faith that was
Yeah.
so great that what he would create for the world would be valuable, that whatever clout he could get or money he could get wasn't worth it in a time. And it's interesting because like you don't hear when you think of like all the richest people who ever existed, oh, Napoleon Hill's name mentioned as the richest guy who ever lived, because it wasn't about the money for him. It was about helping people, like, be able to extract the um abundance out of life. Like he didn't necessarily want to be rich himself. He wanted to help other people be rich, and not
Mhm.
saying that he wasn't rich. He did put his own stuff into practice, but it's just kind of like, to me, that's what the essence of this life is about, is how do we give back and
Right. It's
contribute
it's
to the
service,
world. Exactly.
and then finding a way to monetize and productize your service to the world is what
Yeah.
then you can live out your calling by also being able to pay your bills because
Yeah.
unfortunately we live in this system that is
Yeah.
created. um
Well, it's like the quote that you always see, passion over pennies and the pennies will come. I
yes,
mean, I
exactly.
think that's
Yes.
what
Yes, the
I think
passion
that's
over pennies and the pennies
yeah.
will come.
And I think that's what Napoleon Hill
Yeah.
represented, is he
Mhm.
was passionate about fulfilling his calling in life. And sure enough, like it came, and he's
Yeah.
changed so many people's lives
Yeah.
with his work. And
Mhm.
Um, so Think and Grow Rich is the most famous one, but the best one is Outwitting the Devil. And
Yes.
that book he put together towards the end of his career. Well, no, actually he wrote it after his uh experience writing Think and Grow Rich, and it was unreleased for
Yes.
several years.
He had fear of releasing it to the public, of
Well, he
what
was
it.
warned not to release it to the public.
Oh, he was warned. Okay, but then his wife was
Yeah, yeah,
afraid or would not release
yeah,
it,
yeah,
and it was until his children took it and released it once Napoleon Hill and his wife, so their mother passed.
yeah, yeah,
Then they finally released it to the world.
yeah. It was several years though. It was like
Yeah,
maybe 40 years after he
yeah,
passed
significant amount of time.
that this book Outwitting the Devil came out. But
Yeah,
like that book, it turns everything on its head in terms
yeah.
of like what you might have learned from Think and Grow Rich or any of his other writings.
Mhm.
It's like Outwitting the Devil kind of exposes it all.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, and as they say, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. So
yeah, yeah.
anyone out there that this is resonating with you, it's time to read that book.
It
It
might be
will
time.
talk about changing your destiny. I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean, there's another book called Screw Tape Letters by C.S.
yes.
Lewis,
Mhm.
which is
An equivalent.
equivalent to
Mhm.
Outwitting the
Yes.
Devil,
That
I would
one.
say.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Read both of those and you'll never be the same.
Right.
Yeah. You'll never
Exactly.
see the world the same. You'll never see evil the same. You'll see how even good people can have evil seep through them without even their awareness,
Mhm.
in order to come at you in a way, like a spiritual attack, because we're in this
Mm.
spiritual war
Right.
within.
Right.
And it's those two books alone
Oh yeah.
really shed light on that.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And it's like, you know, a lot of the attacks that we deal with as human beings it starts in our minds, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like when you don't know what's happening on like a spiritual frequency and a spiritual plane, then it's just like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, getting smashed by the waves, and all these changes are happening around us, and we can't explain it and don't know why we're feeling a certain way or things are happening outside our control. And it's like, well, you got to peel back the layer and look at this from, uh, 50-foot distance to see the spiritual things happening that are kind of arranging what's happening right now. Because you might think, oh, yeah, this person at work doesn't like me, or oh, this person at the gym doesn't like me, or all these things. And it's like, well, actually, this might be some kind of deeper assignment that spiritual forces are
Right.
doing to try to throw you off your
Yeah,
path.
it's like everything is about character refinement. So if you don't have the strength before evil and temptation comes to try to derail you, then you're going to like fall into it. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have that armor and that strength within, then that's where you can make the decision, to not change for the worse, but change for the better. Because then you build that
Mm-hmm.
momentum behind doing what you know you're supposed to
Yeah.
do, what's right within you.
Yeah. It's
For character refinement, to become the person you need to be to fulfill your destiny, assuming you're aiming towards it. If not, you'll just seem to stay lost, and
mm-hmm.
the storm takes you, the wave takes you away.
Mm-hmm.
Where having that understanding, and going towards it is riding the wave, becoming one with the wave.
Mm-hmm.
Surrender to the wave.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I think like anxiety is kind of pointless, and why we just have to do our best to like get outside of worrying about the future. Because the thing is, if we're scared that things are going to change, or that something bad is going to happen, or that we're going to lose money, or lose our home, or lose whatever, and that's what we're scared of, for one, that's inviting that energy into our lives. And so whatever we fear will come upon us, just like in the book
Mhm.
of Job.
Yeah.
So we got to get outside of that for that reason.
Mhm.
But for two, when those things happen, if God allows them to happen, then they're going to be for our good. So if we know that when something bad happens, that if we're in submission to God, that it would be used as a character building activity or something to prove God's faithfulness to us, or prove that, we're protected, then we don't have to fear when bad things happen. We can just be, at peace, knowing that whatever comes our way, we'll get through it.
Right, and having faith knowing that you'll get through it, because even when an example of this in my life was, I was in my house that I just bought less than 60 days prior, and the roof there was a big windstorm, and the
Mhm.
roof caved in on me while I was in it. So it's like
Oof.
literally collapsing in on me. And instead of me freaking out, I'm just like, thank you, God. Like, I know something great's going to come from this.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it swallow me up and destroy me, it like literally like took me on a completely different trajectory. And I'm just like, everything comes out of adversity. You got to extract it. There's a, as Napoleon Hill says, there's a seed of an equal and greater benefit to every adversity. So in that adversity, I was like, I can only imagine what the benefit to this will
Mhm.
be. And I'm not even going to say how much money I ended up making off of that situation. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know this was possible because I didn't
Yeah.
even know homeowners insurance was a thing,
Yeah.
even though I had a policy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It was interesting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like these tragedies that come upon us sometimes. We don't realize how it's God allowing it to happen for our good, especially when it comes to things like getting destroyed or lost or stolen. It's like, wow. It's either going to teach us a lesson or it's going to give us some kind of reward like
Mhm.
monetarily.
Yep.
Like like one time when I had my house, the a storm came through and whole basement flooded and it just like was yeah, the carpet was ruined,
Oh
everything.
no.
But we wanted to get the floors done anyway. Like
Oh,
we wanted to get
yeah.
hardwood down there.
Yeah.
And so
It
after
was just a
that
push.
happened, it got the tore the carpet up, got hardwood floors down there. The basement was so much better
Mhm.
after that storm came. And so it's like sometimes we'll like have these desires and we'll sit on things and unless some wind of change comes to shake it up, we'll just be there like, "Oh, I would like this, I would like that." And then sometimes guys like, "Okay, well, you say you want this, let's make it happen."
Right, exactly. Like for everyone in the audience that doesn't know, I was asking God and praying to God for certain changes in my life, and then all of a sudden I broke my foot. And I'm currently in a walking boot, and let's just say everything I asked for has yielded from this break.
Mm, there you go.
In the most unfathomable ways. So
Mhm.
sometimes when change occurs, it's not in the way you anticipated or desired, but it will come if you see it through the lens in which you need for faith, for what you want. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's one of the major elements of like Napoleon Hill's philosophy is faith.
Yeah.
And it sounds like when you read Think and Grow Rich the first time, you're not gonna understand it because it just sounds like insane. It sounds like the writings of an insane person. At least that's what it was like when
Oh.
I
Hmm.
first read Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what? Write this stuff down. But at the end of the day, it's really just a book about faith
Yeah.
and how powerful our faith is,
Mhm.
and how when we get our faith in the right direction, focused on the right things, it's like nurtured by the right community, like when we're putting our faith in action, how faith can really shift things in our favor for our benefit, and how we can use faith as a tangible asset in our life, not as this ethereal
Mhm.
thing that's just kind of like happening to us. And so it's like, yeah, teaching us about how to use our faith in like actionable way, you
Yes.
know, which
Mhm.
I obviously the Bible is great for that because the Bible has so many elements of teaching us about faith. So,
Mhm.
um, whatever wisdom that we can extract from, you know, any other book, I believe it started out with God because He's the source of all
Mhm.
initial wisdom and change and everything that we can provide to humanity. I believe comes from the Creator, but, there's sometimes books like Think and Grow Rich or whatever other books we can find that kind of translate things from God into a more digestible way for humanity because we don't always have the right spiritual lens to interpret what God is saying to us.
Yeah.
And so hearing it from another person or from a book or from a pastor or from a TV show or movie or whatever we're
Mhm.
exposed to, I believe God can transmit
Oh
the right
yeah, like through the
information that
lens
we
of
need to
a
hear at that
layman.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the level of the way I see it is like there's certain levels of consciousness and certain levels of frequency that we can vibrate on throughout life, and
Mhm.
God can get the right message to us for whatever frequency we're on.
Yes, through
Yeah.
whatever means we might not even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a random stranger could come up on the streets, a random
Yes.
song could start
Yes.
playing. It's like there is always God's always there as like that messenger to kind of like confirm or deny the path that you're deciding to be on.
Yes.
And it's whether or not you want to like obey and listen, or if you even have the awareness and the discernment to be able to hear.
Mhm.
Because you could be getting messages all day long, every day, but if you don't have the conscious awareness of the source and making that internal connection of where this is coming from, then it's going to mean nothing. You're going to be seeing nothing. That's why people say, "Oh, what a coincidence." Well,
Mhm.
it's like, well, is it a coincidence or is it a synchronicity?
Right.
Because a synchronicity is a coincidence just without lack of understanding of the root
Mm.
and where it's coming from. So
Mm.
if you know that this is coming from God, like this is a synchronicity. We're in sync. We're in alignment.
Yeah.
I'm hearing this message,
Yes.
versus,
Yeah.
oh, that's so interesting. I can't believe I just had this thought this week and then they said it and confirmed it, but who knows what that means? It's like, no, that had meaning. We're a
Yes.
collective consciousness.
Yes. 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 God is getting these messages through to us in the timing that we need it for the purpose of making our lives better.
Mhm.
That's really what it is. We are on this earth to enjoy life, enjoy the creation.
Mhm.
And so we're not enjoying life. We need to ask ourselves why.
Right.
How are we standing in our own way of
Mhm.
enjoying life?
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's because of fear of change
Mhm.
and us wanting to like avoid the rule of impermanence of things changing.
Yeah.
Because if you get that nugget down in your heart that like something needs to change, you need to leave this person, you need to quit this job, you need to do these things, and it's bringing you fear or stress or worry, then a lot of times you're resisting change. And that's where
Yes.
I will drop the mic on with terms
Yes.
of that.
Well, drop the bomb.
Yes.
Where are you feeling that resistance in your tummy, in your gut, where you know you need to make a change and fear
Mhm.
is holding you back?
Yes.
Make the decision to design your destiny the way you desire because you are in control.
Yes, God has given us control. He's given us the freedom to be able to make decisions no matter what politics or country you're in or, place you belong to. You can always have control over your decisions. You may not be able to control what's happening around you, but you can always choose your
How you
decisions, how you
respond.
respond to it.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So,
All right.
on
Well,
that.
thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode 13 of Exploiting the Explicit on change and decisions that we make for our destiny. Until next time, have a wonderful day, night, evening, and life.
Yes. Much love.